Hi guys, hello level threes. My name is Christina, if you haven't already been introduced to me, and we are going to be going through Unit 19 today, your Nutritional Health module. Okay, so we're going to go from scratch, okay, so this is going to be a little bit slower. I'll talk you through loads of stuff a little bit easier, and how we're going to work this, because obviously this is pretty new to you, it's pretty new to me, and basically it's how we can do this online. Okay, so I'm going to be in the bottom of your screen chatting away as you go through your PowerPoint slides. So just like if I was in the class actually, but this time you can pause me if you need to. You can pause me to go for a wee. You can pause me to write some notes. You can pause and rewind me if you've missed something. So I'll go nice and slow, but also I'll tell you where to look to kind of get extra help as well. So today's aims, right? So we're going to be looking at your learning aim A. So this assignment is going to come to you in two major parts. Learning aim A comes in three sections. All the information you'll find, have a little look down here, okay, is in Health and Social Care Book 2 from page 463. I know it's only small, but this is our book. This is the book we're looking at. Little gingerbread man at the front. Okay, you can order one of these online. I don't think they're really cheap, but you can access them. But you will have this for free on your Moodle. All right, so we're going to have the link to these books on the front page of your Moodle course page. There's two textbooks. Most of the work you're going to be doing this year is from textbook 1, but this unit is from textbook 2, so make sure you don't get too confused on that. So from page 463, so I'm going to have it open next to me as well. So as I'm talking to you, I'm going to be saying, look at this page, and this is where you can pause, open up the page and have a little look, and then we can work together that way. All right, so A1. So when it's got A1, A2, and A3 on the top here, that is about Learning Aim A Part 1, Learning Aim A Part 2, and Learning Aim A Part 3. Now, you've all watched the short introduction that I've given you right at the top of your Moodle page, and it shows you the unit content. Now, that unit content is everything we're going to learn today. Alrighty. So again, if you're not sure what I mean by the unit content, go back, watch the intro short video, and it will tell you where to find all this information. Because if you're not sure what this module is all about, it's on that unit content. It's also going to be on page 465. So everything we are doing, because you can't see that clearly, but this is basically your assignment split into the learning aims. So that's what we were doing, okay? And today we're looking at learning aim A. So we're going to be looking at healthy eating. Okay, so you guys will know eventually, if you don't already, that healthy eating, being really healthy, balanced diet, something I'm really passionate about mine. And I'm going to try to make you guys a little bit healthier as the year goes on. We're going to be talking about the Eat Well plate. Some of you might know what that is even already. If you don't worry, lots of information about it. And looking at the main food groups. We're looking at malnutrition. So what happens when your nutrition isn't right? And that might be undernutrition, so you're not eating enough, or overnutrition, where you're eating too much and actually you move into the obesity scale. We're also going to be looking at how food processing and different preparations of food can affect that food. So, for example, microwavable meals, really heavily processed, not from scratch. Someone's made it in effectively a factory, and lots of those things have got excessive, so too much salt, too much sugar, and also lots of additives as well, things like E numbers, the scary E number. And also lastly, for learning aim A part 1, we're going to be looking at current nutritional issues. So stuff you might see in the press, stuff you might see on social media. How do those things affect your health? So for example, self-prescribed health supplements. And some of you might even have them already, vitamins. Who has vitamins in the morning? that kind of stuff, and also genetically modified food. So who has ever got a wonky bit of veg? You know, normally shops sell very long, straight cucumbers, very perfectly round tomatoes. They don't come like that naturally. You know, a laboratory has made them look perfect. So what we can do is we can look at the effects and how that genetically modifying, so taking and modifying in a laboratory, affects that food. Okay, so first of all, as I said, we're going to look at the Eat Well plate. So this might be, you know, where you want to start your note taking, maybe press pause. Your title's going to be the Eat Well plate or healthy eating. And this is what it looks like, okay? This is the Eat Well plate. Now, the Eat Well plate itself is in large on page 467 in your textbook. And in a bit, you're going to get asked or get directed to a worksheet as well. So you're going to make notes now. And then when you get to your worksheet, you're going to hopefully have some of those notes in order to help you prepare that worksheet, because that worksheet is going to be your homework, basically. Okay. So the Eat Well plate was made by Public Health England. So it's a governing body who basically take England into control and see how well they can make the public healthy they can make the public. And basically, it was broken down into the second little diagram here. Okay, and it says that when you have a meal, so let's look at your dinner, your main meal, your dinner, maybe what you're having tonight. It says that you should have fruit and vegetables and bread and like bread, rice, potatoes, pasta, so the carbohydrates. Those are the two biggest portions that you should have on your plate. And then it should be a smaller amount of the meats, the fatty and sugary foods, and the dairy as well. So obviously not many of you are going to have all of those things on one plate in one go. That's a bit strange. But that's what your kind of day to day should look like. And that's what's going to get you healthier. Okay, it's going to get you the right nutrients. And if you guys are going to be thinking about working in the future in health, you're going to be looking at all of your patients. What are they eating? You know, if you're working in a hospital, you'll notice that, or if you've been in hospital, the food's a bit gross, but it works really well on this Eat Well plate. It is a very balanced diet, because that's what, you know, Public Health England say it should look like. Okay, that's what it says it should look like. Okay, so the Eat Well guide, it's like a nice big version of it. So per day, women, we should, I'm going to say I should have about 2,000 calories per day. That is the normal range that should stop me from being malnourished. So not too little food or too much food. And men, you guys should have 2,500 calories per day. And we'll go through what calories mean later if you're not sure. So again, this is just another version of the slide you just saw, okay, the Eat Well plate. Lots of fruits and vegetables, lots more kind of carbohydrates with a lesser amount of your kind of meats, dairy products, and then obviously your fatty, sugary substances. We're also going to have a look at these here, these kind of these labels up here, so top left-hand corner. We're going to look at that in a bit as to how we can kind of look at food and see if that's going to help us. Okay, next, malnutrition. So looking at our page number, you guys are still going to be looking at page 466 and 467. Okay, so malnutrition. Okay, often when we think about people who aren't eating enough, we often really do think about those really sad images we see on television about children, really starving children. Actually, there is a huge amount of children in the UK that are undernourished, which is really scary. You know, we're supposed to be a really affluent country, but there isn't enough money to go around. Some of you might be on bursary and have kind of help paying for your lunches and stuff like that. That's nothing bad on you guys. It's just unfortunately the way of the world. But what we need to look at is how can we utilize the money that we do have, whether it be a little or a lot, and how can we get people to eat well? Looking at the Eat Well plate again. So Why do people get it? So there's so many different reasons why people can be malnourished. It can be cultural, it can be environmental, it can be where you live, it can be financial. Um, but the biggest thing we're going to look at today is kind of the implications for health. So in the textbook, it does talk about what things happen. So what happens to the body when you are undernourished? So you don't have enough good nutrition in your diet. And it also talks about what happens when you have too much. So what happens when you are obese? Okay. So when it comes again to your worksheet, you're going to be asked to discuss this. And I'd like you to be kind of looking in the textbook, but also, what do you know already? What do you know happens to somebody who's overweight? Do you have any thoughts? So, for example, I know that people who are severely overweight can have an increased risk of having diabetes type 2. Is that something you know? Okay, that's fine. If you don't know, you'll be looking it up. If you do know it, that's one of the things you're going to be writing about. Okay. So one of the things we're going to be looking at is normal weight, malnutrition, obesity. So one of the things that the book talks about is immunodeficiency. It's a big word. Some of you may not have heard it before, but I want you to think about immune. So your immune system. Okay. So normally, if we're looking at the immune system, what do we think about? So the body's ability to maybe fight off a cold, something like that. And the term deficiency. What does deficiency mean? Deficiency is when we don't have enough of something. So immunodeficiency, we don't have enough immune system. So people who are malnourished, people who are starving, are often really prone to becoming ill. So it could be something as easy as a cold. If you don't eat enough, don't eat properly, you're going to get ill a lot. You might have friends or family members who are constantly on diets and things like that, or not eating properly. They've always got a cold, they've always got a cough. Okay, so yeah, those are the things I want to start thinking about. And then the other side, inflammation. So that's, I'm not saying that they kind of blow up like a beach ball, like this lovely little person up here, but it's also inflammation of your internal organs, so swollen liver, swollen intestines, swollen stomach, your heart can get swollen. So people can get, more risk of heart attacks, for example, if they're overweight. And again, these are the things I'm going to be looking at and talking about when it comes to your homework, your assignment. Okay, so our next subtitle, if you are pausing and writing subtitles down, what is processed food? Okay, what is processed food? I've given you an additional worksheet here for full information. So on page 6.8, there is a table, okay, which looks at all the different types of food processing and the effects it might have. What I've done is I've taken that table and I've put it onto a worksheet for you. So it's a Word document. Again, it's going to be clearly labelled on your Moodle deficiency worksheet, lesson 1. I'm always going to put down what lesson it is as well, so you can open things up, ready to go. If you haven't found it, pause me, have a look now. But what it's got on there is all the information you need, again, ready to write up your assignment. So for example, if we're looking at canning food, so like literally putting things in a can, might be canned fruit, tinned veg, tinned ravioli, baked beans, whatever it is, think about something you've got in your cupboard. So that's a method of preserving food. Things in a can don't go off very quickly, do they? That's the whole point of canning things, is to keep things fresher for longer. But when you look at your sheet, when you look at your sheet in a minute, as I've got it here, the positive effects, it can retain your nutrients for years. So the good proteins, the good carbohydrates, it keeps everything really fresh inside that can, sometimes for years and years and years. But with everything to do with food processing, there's also negative effects. So again, when you'll be looking at your table, you'll also see that often things in a can have got high sugar and high salt, because in order to preserve food, the factories will put sugar in it and they will put salt in it. So most people have got baked beans in their cupboard. Pretty staple thing. You have maybe 1 or 2 packets in your cupboard. And baked beans are really, really good. Lots of people have them. They're quite healthy, but they're really high in sugar and salt. So actually Heinz, as an example, I think Tesco's do it as well. They've got a low sugar, low salt version. Perfect. So these are the kind of things that when it comes to you planning healthy food, just for your home life, but also for your assignment, those are the kind of things I want you to look at. You know, how can processing a food, like canning as an example, how can we make sure that we're not getting too much of the bad stuff and keeping all of the good stuff? So, okay, so on this table, it talks about canning food, freezing food, it's obvious, stick it in the freezer, vacuum packing it. So you might get it when you look at steak or meats, when you've got plastic wrapper and it sucks all the air out of it, and you're just left with the meat kind of suctioned into the packet. That's vacuum packing it. So that's still processing and preparing the food. Also, UHT. What does UHT mean? Ultra high treatment, like ultra high temperature. Okay, so some of you will see that on milk, for example. So most of the people who have milk in your fridge, and again, have a look later, it will say UHT. And what it means is once the milk has literally come out of the cow, it is under UHT. So it's been ultra treated, really, really high temperature. And that's to kill all the bad stuff, kill all the nasties. But obviously we lose some of the good stuff as well with that. So again, I want you to be looking at the table and talking about that for your assignment. Pasteurization, again, it's a heated version. Okay, again, milk can be pasteurized. Additives. So these are your kind of improving flavors, all that kind of stuff. Lots of people look at like cereals, like fortified cereals, Weetabix with added vitamin C. You know, it's putting extra stuff in. It doesn't always have to be bad, okay? So when I'm talking about processed food, I'm not always being negative. So make sure you kind of talk about both sides. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Curing food, all the salt. Sticking loads of salt on it to kill off all the nasties for it to last longer. But again, obviously it's got lots and lots of salt in it. Jams in a jar, lots of sugar to keep it fresh for longer. Smoking food. So you might have heard like smoked salmon, stuff like that. It's another version of kind of cooking it without actually having it in an oven. As well as pickling stuff. So it can be literally look at like your brown pickle, your piccalilli at Christmas dinner with your cold turkey, like yellow pickle stuff. But yeah, anything again in a jar that's been pickled is to make it last longer. But again, if you eat too much of it, there has been a link to cancers. So again, I really want to start looking and researching processed food. If you're still unsure about processed food in general, look at this link. Okay, so you're going to pause it, open up this NHS link, and it gives you a really nice introduction to what are processed foods. Okay, so again, feel free to look at the table, feel free to look at your textbook, and feel free to look at this link. And again, guys, it's all about taking your time here. I don't really want you to go from one slide to the next without really understanding what we're talking about. And that's fine. This is going to be the beauty of online teaching. You can do it at your own pace a little bit, which I think is going to be really important for some of you. I think it'd be important for me if I was in your position. Okay, so if we are going to have a quick look at some of the naughties, our kind of hidden salts, there is some things where it is very, very hidden and you don't know there's lots of salt in it. The processed food, some of you might know, I know that processed food is high in salt. So things like your kind of in the microwave things. Now, anybody of you who eats Rustlers. Ugh, that's disgusting. What's wrong with you? They are, first, they taste gross. Second of all, they are so unhealthy. Like, literally, go and have a McDonald's. They're much more healthy than a Rustler's burger. Okay. Restaurant meals. So you think I'll go out for a restaurant. Actually, even like uh, lots of vegetables or salads in a restaurant, because it tastes so good, it's often lots of salt in it. Bread and breakfast cereals. So even things like muesli, some of you might be like, ugh, muesli is disgusting anyway. Actually, if you look at some of the ready-made mueslis, really, really high in salt and sugar because they want to taste good. But a lot of people have muesli to think I'm being healthy. Actually, when you look at the packet, it's not that healthy at all. Those of you with your kind of mums, dads, aunties, uncles, whatever, who are like, oh, I have my muesli every morning, get them to look at that packet and see how much salt actually is in there. Canned goods, I've already said that, so stuff in cans. And soups, people think, oh, I'm going to be healthy, I have a soup for lunch. So much salt in there. And that can lead to obesity as well. So have a little look. So again, if you're interested in looking at where hidden nasties are, have a look at this link as well. Just take a look, take a pause, have a little look. And again, it might be some extra information in there for you for your worksheet. All right, so what are the health implications of our kind of not eating well, of our food processed, really like our kind of nasties? Well, diabetes is one of them. Okay, so not being able to regulate your sugar content. We talk loads about diabetes in a bit, and there's lots of research linked as well. So if you're not sure what diabetes is, just take the time and have a look, make some extra notes. You can get a fatty liver. So your liver is super important, okay? It cleans up your blood, it helps with your digestion, it helps with keeping you healthy. And if your liver is covered in fat, it can't do that job very well. Strain on your heart, obesity, premature aging up there that I'm circling now. But also, behind me, you can't see this little chap here, acne, okay? Now, let me tell you something. I am 30, I'll probably be 34 by the time you look at this, actually, guys. I still get those little spotty bits around here. And you guys, I'm so sorry. You're in your teens. You're going to be stuck with your spotty faces for a little bit. So, healthy eating helps you not have it for much longer. So, think about that, okay? Sometimes genetic. Okay, but you can control it with your diet. Alrighty. So last bit on your AIM-A part 1. Again, going to page 469 in your book if you've got it here. And it's again, now we're going to talk about nutritional issues. So let's have a look at the first picture. So our little sweetie jar here, it looks like, doesn't it? In fact, they're all supplements. So what do people take? What does self-prescribed mean? Well, when you are ill and you go to the doctors, you get a prescription. So it's doctor prescribed. Yeah, someone else has told you to take it. Self-prescribed is when you decide yourself to take something. And again, these are the things you might want to just quickly jot down, rewind, write again, have a Google. But self-prescribed health supplements. So you've decided I'm going to have extra vitamins in the morning. That's fine. Again, I said it's not always a bad thing we're talking about here, but lots of people take it now. This supplement market, the vitamin market, is worth billions just in the UK. Okay, lots of you have probably had them in the past. Again, people you live with might also take supplements. So, go and ask them, why do you take that? Have you actually felt any difference when you've taken it? Okay, and also, so we're talking about things that are important to people now. So another current issue is GM foods, genetically modified. So a human's genetics are what we're designed to be. So when I was born, I was genetically designed to be female. I was genetically designed to have green eyes. Okay, that's my genetics. That's what I was born to be. Fruits and vegetables are exactly the same. Okay, cucumbers are genetically green. Sweet corn is genetically yellow. But we can, in laboratories now, modify genetics. And sometimes that's a bit scary for me. Like, do I want to be eating something that's been kind of created in a lab, kind of some kind of Frankenstein food? Well, actually, most of us eat it every day without even realizing it. And that's what I kind of introduced earlier. So, how often do you guys go to the supermarket, or your parents, your guardians, your carers come back from the supermarket with the fruit and vegetables, all with really weird and wacky shapes? Pretty much probably never. You might get the odd random shape. But like apples are round, pears have got that beautiful skinny neck and big wide bottom, satsumas are round, tomatoes are round, kiwis are oval, because they've been genetically designed to look perfect. Okay. But obviously, with genetically modifying food, you're losing some of the good stuff. And actually, there is this whole thing of, do I really want to be eating genetically modified food? You guys would have heard of Brexit. Okay, it was the big thing that was happening last year, where England, the UK, decided to separate ourselves from the European Union. Okay, now one of the things that the European Union used to kind of control on us was things like our fruit and veg. So it was the EU guidelines which said things like cucumbers must be straight. That's so random, isn't it? Like, I don't care if my cucumber's a bit wonky, it's not a problem. It's gonna taste the same, just looks a bit funky. But the EU says, no, it's got to be straight. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, Brexit. I didn't really want Brexit personally. I'm open to political chat as well, guys. But, I thought, okay, well, that's good. Maybe like we have a bit more freedom on our food. Farmers don't have to throw away so much because it's a bit wonky. I think we're going the other way. We're having all this discussion at the moment about food coming from America. Now, chicken. So how many of you guys eat chicken? Roast chicken, maybe on a Sunday, yeah? So in England, we talk about free range. The chickens can cluck, cluck, cluck. They can run around. They've got their own homes, lovely food, all this kind of stuff. Well, in America, they don't have such good rules. And when they are killed, when they're kind of prepared, ready for packaging, they're washed in chlorine. You know that smell you get on your skin and in your hair when you come out of a swimming pool? Imagine your chicken is now going to be washed in swimming pool water. I don't want that either. So, it's about kind of, I want you to look at some foods out there that have been genetically modified and see what you get from that, see what are the implications of that, why is it happening? And again, in your worksheet, you're going to have some kind of questions about genetically modified food I'd like you to research and answer. Now, the picture in the middle, it's a bit cheeky, I know, but I don't care. When you are vegan AF and your photographer says cheese. So again, one of the biggest nutritional discussions at the moment in the press, in social media, is about vegans. Now, if anybody knows a vegan or is a vegan, if you know a vegan, they talk about being a vegan a lot. So I've got some really good friends of mine, mum, dad, 2 sons. They're all vegan. All they talk about is being vegan. Like, I make sensible decisions. I try to only have free range meats and things like that. But honestly, it's like I'm an absolute murderer. It's like I'm killing the children. But, veganism is definitely something that's really big in the press, in social media at the moment. So again, that might be something you want to discuss, a hot topic you want to look at. What do people get out of being vegan? But also, what do people lose by being vegan? And, you know, although vegans will say they don't lose anything by being vegan, there are scientifically shown there's some vitamins which you cannot get from a vegan diet. So have a little look into those. You might find it quite interesting. Okay, so here is kind of the first bit we're going to talk about your homework. Okay, so one of the sheets on your Moodle page is labelled Unit 19 Lesson 1 Worksheet in the red there. Now, this is what you are going to be actually delivering. You're going to be filling in and delivering for me. So, part 1. Each of the above slides, so the ones we talk about, they need to be explained and discussed for your homework. So I want to know, what do you feel or think or know about those topics we've just discussed? So what is undernutrition? What does that mean to you? Now, you're going to refer to the additional videos I've put in there, worksheets, website, and the textbook in order to complete this task, okay? There is information out there. All you've got to do is look at it. Now, guys, you will get to know me over the year. Those of you who were with me last year do already know me. Don't come to me and say, I don't know what to do. Okay, it's not useful for me. I don't understand how the Eat Well plate helps people. That's a good question. That's a question I'll answer. Okay, so if you really don't understand, fine, but look at the bits you don't understand. Yeah, try to kind of give yourself a bit more of a feel about what is it I don't really get. Okay, because this is a module about nutrition, about healthy eating. That kind of says in itself what you should be thinking. Okay, so that worksheet, you can pause now if you haven't already opened it. Have a look. It's got all the subheadings and the questions that you need. So if you think, I don't know what Christina means, what do I need to explain? Look at the worksheet. Okay, so it clearly says what I want you to deliver. And you're literally going to type it up. Okay, and you're going to be giving it back to me as part of your homework. Part 1. So learning aim A, part 1. Done. 2 more bits to go. Okay, so this is our second part. So A2, remember that's learning aim A, part 2. We're looking at how you measure nutrition and your recommended daily intake. So balancing your energy requirements. So how do we know how much protein versus fats to have a day? How do we know? That's our calories. We can look at calories. How do you measure how healthy you are? Your BMI. So it's called your body mass index. So I'm going to tell you how to calculate your BMI. I'm going to get you to try to calculate your BMI. I've got a couple of little tasks in here as well for you to do. And it's going to tell you effectively how healthy you are. So where on that nutrition scale are you? Growth charts. So how do we use it for children? This is where should they be? Okay, so if they're 2, how much should they weigh, and kind of go up the scale. And also interpreting these dietary reference values. So that little picture I showed you earlier on the Eat Well plate that you see stuck on the front of a lot of food now, how can we use them to figure out if we're being healthy or not? Okay, so let's look at those things one at a time. Okay, so what is a calorie? So I've got 2 videos here to tell you what a calorie is. Now, a calorie is the measurement of how much something is worth in terms of food intake. So if I'm eating this cookie, how many calories is it? What's it worth? And I put that against how many calories I should have in a day. So we look back. What do we say that a woman should have per day? 2,000 calories, yeah? So 2,000 calories a day I should have as an adult female. And this cookie is worth 100 calories. I can eat one of those. That's not going to kill me. That's fine. It's not going to make me explode into this absolute ginormous woman in a day. However, if I eat 200 cookies in one go, that's all of my calories gone. So I'm not really allowed to have anything else. Now, this is where the balancing comes in. Although I'm allowed 2,000 calories, so in theory, I'm allowed 200 cookies, because 20 cookies. Oh, my maths. Don't ask me to help with maths. Sorry, 100 calories a cookie, 20 cookies is 2,000 calories. Oh my God, 200. Am I going crazy? Who eats 200 cookies? Anyway, let me move on. So, although I'm allowed to have 20 cookies, in theory, it's not balanced, is it? So I'm not balancing out where my calories are coming from. And that's when we look at our later assignments, when I'm going to ask you to plan an actual kind of food diary. Yeah, you're going to be looking at these calories. All right. So again, I'd like to watch these videos. So pause me, have a watch, make some notes. What is a calorie? Okay. And then once we've kind of figured out our calories, once we've figured out how many we should be having, we then need to be looking at, okay, well, if we're eating a set amount a day, we should be healthy, right? You know, if we're eating 2,000 calories a day, women, that means we should be about the right weights. Well, how do we know that if we're the right weight or not? Okay, so again, on page 470, we've got this example of how to measure weight, how to measure your BMI. And we're going to look here, okay? So we'll be looking at the BMI. What you do is you take their weight in kilograms. So how much do you weigh in kilograms? This one is 60. Okay, how much does this person weigh? We're then going to divide it, okay, by their height in meters squared. So that little 2 up there. So however tall they are in meters, square it. And to square something, you times it by itself. So here it will be 1.9 times 1.9. Okay. So 60 divided by 1.9 squared, which takes us to 60 divided by 3.61, because that's 1.9 squared, gives us 16.6. So this person's BMI is 16.6. Now, this is categorized as underweight, but I want you to look. Okay, so go to your textbook, go to page 471 and look at this table. Okay, so what you're doing is you go along and you look at down one side how tall they are, along the other side how much they weigh, and then you meet in the middle and it tells you what they weigh. What their BMI is. So for example, for me, let's look at me. I don't care. You guys can know how much I weigh. So I am 5'6". That's how tall I am. So I'm going to look at my graph, and you can look at that in a minute. 5'6", and I weigh 63 kilograms. So I go across, I go down. I'm okay. Woohoo! Excellent stuff. Okay, I'm okay. So I'm not underweight, I'm not overweight. Good stuff. Now, this is what I'd like you to do, guys. Again, this is another pause task. See these 3 down here? You are going to calculate their BMI. And you're going to be writing your answers again on the worksheet. Okay, so when you get to the worksheet, you're going to be doing that. But do it now. It's fresh in your mind, okay? This little task here. So it's whatever their weight is. So, for example, for Stuart, it would be 50 divided by his height squared. So you'll take 1.7 and square it. So 1.7 times 1.7. And then you'll get your answer. What is Stuart's BMI? And then you're going to look and you're going to see, is he underweight? Is he overweight? And you can do that for Shabnam and Claude as well. Okay, so have a little look, take your time. It's going to help with your maths. Okay, so a couple little equations in there. See how you get on, all right? Okay, pause when you're ready. Alrighty, so again on this slide, I've got a little way, an easy way to check someone's height, but I needed you to have done those calculations on the last slide. So hopefully you did, because you've got to answer them anyway on the worksheet. So get it done if you haven't already. Okay, so another way we can look at seeing people's nutrition is using growth charts, all right? So these are growth charts, and you might think, oh my God, what on earth are those? That looks literally crazy. Basically what we're looking for is we're looking to see boys aged 5 to 18 years. So I'll put this graph in because I want you guys to look at yourselves, okay? You know, it's only you in your own room, in your own office, in your own bedroom. Have a look. So, height. How tall are you? How tall are you? Okay. Weight. How much do you weigh? So it's height in centimeters and weight in kilograms. And then you're going to take your age. So let's say you're 16 years old. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a little look, and let's say that you are, I don't know, let's say you're 175 centimeters tall. You're going to go across from 175 centimeters and then go up to 16. Now that's obviously a very wonky line, but you'll do it better than me. Okay, and this is in your textbook, again, on page 472. So you can do it with a ruler in your textbook or on the screen if you want to. And it says that you are, if you're 175, you are about 50th. What does that mean? What does 50th mean? Okay, so that means your percentile. So it's saying that out of all the 16-year-olds in the country, you are slap bang in the middle. You are 50th percent. So 50% of the boys age 16 are taller than you, and 50% are shorter than you. So you're practically perfect, slap bang in the middle. So have a look, okay? And the same thing up here with the girls. And then the second thing to look at is your weight. So again, let's say you're 16 years old and you weigh 70 kilograms. So that line hits the 75th centile. So that's saying that 25% more people are heavier than you, but 75% of the population weigh less than you. So you're a little bit higher than average. You're going to work that out. And obviously it's going to give you a nice bit of information as to kind of where you are. So you've done your BMI, if you wanted to, but also you can look at yourself on the growth chart. So these are the normal patterns. So you guys haven't finished growing yet, upwards or outwards, okay? But again, it's going to give you a bit of an idea. Where are you at the moment on the growth chart? Okay. Have a look, take your time, pause it if you want to. Okay. So I said we'd come back to this. So these are things I'm assuming you've all seen. So we've looked at the Eat Well plate. So people are thinking, okay, well, how much, should I weigh? What should I be eating? What should be on my plate? How much carbohydrate? How much meat? But we also need to look at calories. So how many calories, how much fat, how much protein should be in my food? So these are dietary reference values, okay? So looking at a burger, one burger, 19% of all your daily intake of fats in one burger. It's a lot, 20% nearly of all the fat in your whole day, one burger. Okay. Saturated fats. So these are the bad fats. Okay. 30%. That's a lot. It's a really big number. But sugar, not a lot. Less than 1%. So it might be really fatty, but there's not a lot of sugar in it. And then you've also got your salts. Okay, so 12% is a lot. The second picture here, this is, I don't want to scare you, this is a healthy one. This is a healthy version. Okay? Half a pack, 72% of the daily intake of your salt in one meal. And that's half a pack. 72%. That is a lot. And these are the things I want you to start looking at. So when you start eating food, I'm not saying change your diet. I'm definitely not saying go on a diet. That's not what I'm about. But just be more aware. Just be aware of how much you should be having. What are the implications of if you have too much? And then start having a little think about the food that you tend to eat day to day. Have a little look. Okay, second part, it's the same, reads the same. Each of the slides above needs to be explained and discussed for your homework. Look at all the extra videos and worksheets and websites I've given you. And you're going to be filling in. It's the same worksheet as before. It's all on the same one. Okay, and again, all the subheadings you've just gone through, all on this worksheet. So you're going to fill it in. And you can do that now if you want to, or wait till the end of the whole lecture. That's fine. Okay. Last but not least, the third part of learning AIM A, so A3. Now, we are going to be looking at our essential nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, fats and oils, vitamins, minerals, water and fibre. So what we're going to look at is, where do we get these items? Where do we get carbohydrates from? Where do we get them from? What food do we get it from? Why do we need it? Okay, why do we need that food? And also deficiencies. Do you remember from earlier what a deficiency is? When you don't have enough of something. Again, if you're unsure, write it down. Deficiency, when you don't have a lot of something. You know, take your time, kind of learn these words, because we're going to use them throughout, so you've got to make sure you understand them all. All right, we're going to look at all these. Okay, so first and foremost, our carbohydrates. So, where do we get them from? Starch. What is starch? So starch, potatoes are a starchy vegetable. Pasta, bread. Okay, there's a little picture down here. I know I'm covering up a little bit. Oh, I've gone too far. Come on. All right. 1 second. Oh, for some reason it won't let me go back, so bear with me. We'll have a look at the next bit, okay? So we're going to go back in a bit, so just bear with me. So we've got carbohydrates. Where do we get them from? Pasta, potatoes, bread, cereals, those kind of things. Why do we need carbohydrates? Energy. We need it for our energy. So in carbohydrates, we've got our good sugars. We need sugar to be able to function. So sugars get turned into glucose. We need glucose. Yeah, it's a good thing for us, just not too much. And page 473, it goes through all of that. Okay, now deficiencies. So what happens if we don't have enough? Okay, again, it's all in here. One of the big things about carbohydrates is diabetes. Now, earlier I said that some of you will know what diabetes is, and some of you won't. If you don't know what diabetes is, or you know a little bit but don't know loads, here's your slide, okay? So I'd like you to be looking at some of and they're videos, so you can sit back, chill out, watch them, make some notes. Okay, now the last video, diet advice. When it comes to the later assignments, you're going to need to know a bit about how to change your diet. if you've got diabetes. So keep that in mind, guys. Keep that one safe. Okay. So just to clarify, if you've watched those videos, type 1 and type 2, all right? Type 1 diabetes cannot be prevented. It's genetic. You're born with it. Type 2 can be prevented, and that is through keeping a good BMI, some exercise, and a healthy diet. Okay, so keeping those in mind. That third one, just to think about as a separate one, is gestational diabetes. So some women get diabetes when they're pregnant. It goes away when they've had the baby, but it comes on when they are pregnant. So just bear that in mind when you start looking. Don't get confused. What the hell is this third version or third type? It's all about pregnancy, so we don't need to worry about that just yet. Okay, proteins. Number 2. Again, subheadings, proteins. What are they? Polypeptides and essential and non-essential amino acids. So some we need, some we don't need. Some we get from food, some we get from our body automatically. Where do we get them from? Plant and animal sources. So we think protein, lots of people think meat, fish. We can also get it from soya products and some vegetables as well. So again, this is where your vegan discussion comes in. Thinking about how much protein you're supposed to have in a day. Can vegans get that amount easy? It's not easy. It can absolutely be done, but have a little think about that. So dietary deficiencies, including special needs of that's supposed to say vegetarians and vegans. Sorry, guys. So, when we're thinking about deficiencies, what happens in the body if you're not getting enough? And vegetarians and vegans are at risk of having a protein deficiency. The things that the proteins do in the body is about growth and repair of tissues. So I'm not saying when you break a leg, it helps you fix the leg. Of course it does that. But I'm talking about repairing your brain overnight. Yeah, when you walked up the stairs and your legs get a bit jellified, it's that repair. Always going through the body. We're constantly making new skin, constantly growing our nails, our hair, our eyebrows. Yeah, so we're constantly growing. It's protein that does that. The carbohydrates give us the energy to grow, and it's the protein that provides the building blocks to grow. So again, if you're still kind of unsure, make some notes, rewind it, listen again. But also I've got a nice little YouTube clip there for you as well, just to go and watch if you want to. Okay, fats and oils. So guys, we do need some. People are really scared of fats sometimes. And I know it's a bit of a word that's a bit bandied around a little bit, but there is good fats. There is good fats, okay? So good olive oils, okay? Things like avocado. What you don't want is like a piece of toast with the same amount of butter on top. That's not good for you, okay? So we've got a couple of YouTube clips here again. They're always really short ones, guys, okay? So what do we need them for? What happens if we have too much, okay? Vitamins are the good ones. What do we want? So we talked earlier about supplements. So some people will get their vitamins from tablets. Okay, but most of us get it from fruits and vegetables. Now, most of you have heard of 5 a day. Have you had your 5 a day? 5 a day is a government scheme which is basically making you make sure that you have 5 portions of fruits and vegetables a day, and that's to do with your vitamins and your minerals. Okay, so we get them from fruit and vegetables. Sunlight seems a weird one, right? Sunlight. We get vitamin D from sunlight. Okay, vitamin D is really important. It works with calcium, which I'll talk through in the next video, the next slide. So dietary deficiencies. So what happens, and again, you've got to write about this, what happens if you don't have enough vitamins in your diet? Scurvy and rickets. These are two diseases you can get. So scurvy is actually something that not many people get anymore. It used to be lots of pirates got it because they'd be out to sea for months on end with no fresh fruit and vegetables. And it's where your skin starts to break down. All of your old scars open up. Think about the scars on your body. If you don't have enough fruit and vegetables, those scars can start breaking down and opening again. Oh. And rickets is where your bones don't develop properly. So if you don't have enough vitamin D and your calcium is an issue, and lots of you know that we need calcium for good, strong bones, you get rickets. So rickets are when people's bones actually used to kind of curve. Imagine your leg bones. Okay, think about your leg bones you've got right now on your legs. Straight line, aren't they? Straight line bones. People with rickets have got curves in their bones. So not a good thing to get. And then we've got our minerals as well. So same, lots of it comes from our vegetables as well, but also bits of meats and stuff like that. So calcium, iron, sodium. Okay, calcium I said earlier. So calcium is all about our bone strength. We need vitamin D to help use calcium. So you could drink milk, which has got loads of calcium in it. You could drink milk. If you live in a dark box, the calcium can't be used. You literally just wear it out. So you've got to have vitamin D and calcium to be able to get good, strong bones. Interesting fact. All right, so we get it from red meats, green vegetables. If you don't have it, you can have some deficiency. So, for example, iron deficiency. Well, that's obvious. We talked about deficiency earlier, didn't we? It's when you don't have enough of something. Iron deficiency, anemia. Anyone ever heard of anemia before? This one here, anemia. Well, anemia is when you don't have enough iron in your blood. So you can become very weak, very tired, very fatigued. So honestly, guys, those of you out there who are like, I'm always tired, I'm always so sleepy, I always feel really floppy. Do you have enough iron in your diet? It's a huge thing that happens. And it happens quite a lot in teenagers too, because sometimes you've got really rubbish diets. So think about, do you have enough iron in your diet? And it might be then you think about this supplement. Can I have a vitamin that would help me boost that to help me not feel so tired all the time? Now we go to the other end of the age scale. We can talk about osteoporosis. So anyone who lives with any women, especially, who are over the age of kind of 50, 55, they need to be having a little bit more calcium in their diet, okay? Because osteoporosis is when your bones start to get weak. So we all kind of hear about, little old ladies, little old guys, they fall over, they break their hip. If we fell over, it's very unlikely we'll break our hip because we're young. I will put myself in your age category here. They've got strong bones. But as you get older, your bones get weaker. Okay, and calcium obviously can really help that not get too bad. But just to let you know, ladies, women do get it worse. Okay, that's to do with our hormones. So just make sure that you are making sure. And if you know any vegans who are in their 50s and they're women, question them on their calcium intake. Super important. Alrighty, because in the body, it helps us good digestion, good immune system, good nerves, good blood cells. We need vitamins to effectively be healthy. Okay, and if we don't have them, it's not ideal, yeah? So we all know someone who doesn't have vegetables or don't like them. One of my really good friends, Rob, I call him a salad dodger. He has broccoli. That's it. The only fruit and vegetable he eats is broccoli. So yeah, I force him to take supplements. And okay, nearly there, fibre. So fiber helps us with digestion. So some people who don't have fiber, so deficiency of fiber, if their digestion isn't working properly, it can sometimes give you constipation, stuff like that. So having good fiber in your diet is really important. So cereals, lots of vegetables, some beans, pulses, lentils, stuff like that. Really good fiber. Now, I said to you before, I've got a deficiencies worksheet for you. So one of the things you have to fill in on your worksheet is about, well, what happens when we don't have enough of something in your diet. I've given you a worksheet, okay? So open up your deficiencies worksheet. I've taken it from page 480. So you can see it as well in the textbook, but I've given it to you much clearer on a Word document. And if you have the ability to print these things up, I definitely recommend it, okay? And it tells you what happens in the body if you don't have enough of something. So when it comes to the worksheet, you're going to be filling that in, okay? So, two videos here. Now, these are little additional videos I'd like you to watch. It doesn't have to necessarily be right now, actually. It can be later. But they're just interesting bits of information about nutrition, about the nutrients we need, what happens with carbs, proteins, fats, and they're just quite nice little educational videos, but they're quite fun. So they're for you if you want them. And part 3, same again. You're taking the same worksheet and you're going to be filling in the information from what we've learned today. Okay, so what have we learned? And it's all in the textbook. Okay, guys, it's all in that textbook. So what you have learned today is learning aim A. So all the information that you need to literally pass your assignment, learning aim A, is in this PowerPoint, okay? And is in the textbook and is in the worksheets I've given you. So if you've watched this through, nobody should be failing learning aim A, because hopefully you've made some notes. I said to you, don't go to the next slide unless you understand the one before. Remember, you can kind of go forward and backwards if you need to and have a little look, okay? So please complete the 3 parts of homework as asked, which is throughout the PowerPoint, and it's due next week, okay? So what you'll do is I'll get you a firm date when I've got it, because just to let you know, I'm filming this in June. So it's June right now for me. You'll be doing this in September, so just bear with me, okay? I will give you the dates. You probably already got it, but I'll let you know, okay? Useful links. All right, guys. So obviously with this PowerPoint itself, I've given you all the links throughout the PowerPoint. Sometimes I'll give you a whole list at the end of the PowerPoint, but it depends on which lecture we're doing. But use the page numbers on top of the slides to know where to go on your ebook. Now remember, this is textbook 2, okay? Don't forget, this is textbook 2. Now, one of the big things I want to talk to you guys about, you would have heard about it already, but it is called something called plagiarism. Plagiarism. And it's effectively copying, okay, cheating. So I've said to you, go to the textbook. Use that information to write up your homework, yeah? You have to write it in your own words. Now, I don't mean look at a sentence in the textbook and change some words around. That's still not your own words. What I'd like to do is I'd like you to write it as you understand it. So almost write it as you'd say it. Now remember, this isn't like a biological unit. It doesn't have to be like written perfect English, okay? I would rather read your voice coming out of the page than be really scientific, but you haven't learned anything. Okay, the whole point of this assignment, whole point of anything I ever teach you guys is that you actually learn it. Obviously, I want you to pass it, but I want you to also learn it as well. All right, so when it comes to your filling in your worksheet, just write it as you understand it. Don't write the same as the textbook. If you just copy the textbook or change some words around from the textbook, you're going to have to redo it because it's called plagiarism. Okay, so really just try to think about, if I've learned something about what's a calorie, don't write it like the book says. If I asked you outright, what's a calorie? Just write it as you'd say it, because that shows me your understanding. I hope that makes sense. We will go through that a lot throughout this year and probably into next year as well, because it's really important for you to understand how to write in your own words. Because guys, if you go to university and you plagiarize, you get kicked out. You literally get kicked out of uni. All right, so we're going to teach you how to do it this year. So start straight away. Start from scratch. How do I write in my own words? Okay, now last things, if you find another piece of information somewhere that you think's really good, like a really good website, write it up in your own words, and then I'd like to copy and paste the website into the work itself as well, so then I can maybe nick it for later. Listen, guys, thank you so much for listening to this. All right, obviously I'm going to see you in your next workshop, so I can help you with these questions. Remember, don't come in and say, I don't know what I'm doing. Give me some specific questions and I will always answer you. Always, always, always. But just, you've got to give me something first. Okay? So this is about nutrition. Tell me what you've learned. All right, guys. So remember, this is all going to be about your formal assignment eventually. You guys will be told, if you haven't already been told, when your final hand-in is. The piece of homework you're doing for next week is homework. But read here. All pieces of homework you will do will go towards this, your final assignment. So the more you do in your homework or the more you do in class, the easier your assignment will be. If you don't want to be spending all night pulling all weekenders ready for one piece of work, just do homework. That makes your life a lot easier, trust me.